I done made a couple moves, now I got money on the way, yo. I did it for the hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to Tickzon, where we try to turn our hindsight into your foresight. And I hope you're doing well. It's Ugo here. Welcome to the video. And today we're going to be talking about, choosing university or choosing apprenticeship. Which one is better? Which one should you do? And what should you consider when you are making a decision? So this is going to be almost a little bit conversational in a way. Just me and you. Yeah, it's just me and you. Look into my eyes. Can't you see? I should stop singing. Okay, so obviously, depending on what age you are in, whether it's sixth form, earlier than that, or you might still be in university. I had a couple of people contact me, and through mentoring and stuff like that, people ask me, what should I go for? Should I go for the apprenticeship or should I go for university? And obviously, essentially for me, this is what I used to tell people. So the first thing you need to understand is, how do you like to learn? And do you kind of know what you want to do with your life, if that makes sense? So if you already know what you want to do, then that kind of helps you decide whether whether university is more beneficial or whether apprenticeship is more beneficial. So if you already know you want to be a doctor, there's some things that you're just not going to be doing apprenticeship with. And there's some things you're just not going to go to university for. So if you want to become a doctor, a lawyer, actually no, a lawyer is different, but if you specifically want to become a doctor, then typically you have to go through university and training to get to that point. Now if you want to be, for example, something like a bricklayer or a certified plumber or even a construction worker, you don't necessarily have to go to university. Apprenticeship may be the best route for those professions. Now obviously, how you like to learn is the next thing in terms of, do you like to learn more hands-on? Do you like to learn a bit more technical? Do you like the classroom environment? Do you like the lecture hall environment? And now, obviously, towards the end of this, we'll talk a little bit about the caveat about online situation as it is now. So, depending on how you like to learn, for some people they choose apprenticeship because they're tired with the formal education aspect of things. But I just want to let you understand that regardless of your apprenticeship, like education, quote unquote, doesn't end. You will still be learning. And for some apprenticeships, you will actually be required to still go back to a college or a school. So you don't leave the classroom. If you think that you're leaving sixth form and you're tired of the classroom environment, when you go to an apprenticeship, depending on what kind of apprenticeship you go for, you may still have to go to a college or a university or something of that nature. So at Heathrow Airport, we have an apprenticeship for engineering apprenticeship. You can apply if you're 16 plus, and within that, I believe in your first year you go do some work with Kingston College. So you won't miss out. You get like a little bit of a uni style lifestyle. But I say that to say that regardless what route you take, there's still learning involved. But then you want to know how you kind of like to learn. So if you like to learn more hands-on, then typically apprenticeship may be a little bit easier to go through, but in terms of hands-on, you can still get that in terms of university. Now, if you know how you like to learn, then that comes in your decision of what kind of university you go to. So, for example, when I was choosing mechanical engineering, I looked at some of the unis. I chose University of Birmingham as what I wanted to go to in the end. That's what I firmed. Yes, that's what I firmed. And but obviously I considered like the Cambridge of the world, the Imperial of the world and stuff like that. But in my mind, from what I saw in their prospectus, it was a bit more technical, a bit more, book heavy. And I wasn't like very book heavy. It didn't seem like there was balance. I liked a little bit of practical, a little bit of book and a little bit of time space for me to actually have a social and sports life. So Birmingham gave me all of that balance, and that's how I chose it. Now, for somebody who's more studious, that likes to read a lot, you choose your university based on that. Now, coming back to the topic at hand of whether to choose university or to choose apprenticeship, again, it depends what route you're in. If you already know what you want to do, then you may actually want to go straight to apprenticeship, because it's normally a straight path into that route, whether it's conveyancing, engineering, all of those kind of things. There's apprenticeship for almost everything, and you can. Obviously, the benefit of doing an apprenticeship is that when you do an apprenticeship, you're earning money straight away. Majority of apprenticeships are paid apprenticeships. So it's almost like you're working and learning at the same time. So you are earning money as well as learning. But understand that once you do that now, you have responsibilities and you go straight from being, 15, 16, 17, 18 of just like living your life kind of free to essentially a working individual who is still kind of learning. And it can fast track you in terms of salary. So for example, someone who did an apprenticeship, the numbers may have changed, but someone who did the apprenticeship maybe years ago at Heathrow could have started at 16k, and by the time they qualified in 4 years time could have been at 30 something. Now apprenticeship, depending on where you get it, it's hard to get, but where you get it, you can see a quick progression. Within those 4 years, I was taking my degree, so I came out definitely on a lower level of that what somebody else who did that apprenticeship at that time did, if that makes sense. Now, the cons of apprenticeship depends on what kind of apprenticeship you're doing. So it's very important that if you're going to do an apprenticeship, depending on the company you're doing it with, you want to know about what kind of how the apprenticeship is set up, and depending on what industry you're going into. The issue about apprenticeship sometimes is that it can pigeonhole you. So if you know what you want to do in terms of the industry, so for example, if you know you want to do Formula One, if you do an apprenticeship with one of the Formula One teams, you can transfer that to other ones. But if you do it specific to one company, then it can be hard sometimes for you to transfer over that skills to another company. As well as the issue, the thing you want to get clear with apprenticeships is that some apprenticeships train you up, but they don't give you any qualifications that you can use and transfer. Some of them give you their own like internal company certification, but don't give you anyone that's recognized beyond where you are. And the issue with that is that as much as you may say that you've done X amount of years of work, you can be disqualified from applying from different jobs for not having a certain level of degree or a certain level of education. Now, the thing about it is that even though we're changing up the styles in which we learn, there is a social proof, and there is a social proof that comes with a qualification which allows people to kind of like certify, yes, you are qualified to do what you say you can do, as opposed to just looking at your experiences. And so luckily enough, a lot of apprenticeships now from very good companies do provide a qualification, but especially if it's in engineering, you get HNC, HND, one of those ones, a BTEC. All of those things are transferable. Now, those are kind of the pros and the cons with apprenticeship. Now, obviously, if you go straight into apprenticeship, it is hard for you to kind of change careers as easily. And typically, if you go into an apprenticeship, you have to stick out at least until you complete your apprenticeship to have the necessary qualifications for you to say you're jumping from that company to another company. So for example, some of them might be 3 years before you get your HNC or HND or whatever MVQ. It may be 4 years, and you typically want to stick in that job till you get that, because that if you leave like in your first year, second year, it's going to be starting all over again. Now, in terms of whether choosing university, now obviously university, in my opinion, if I had to do it all over again, I probably would still choose university, because ultimately, if you don't know what you're trying to do, but you kind of know the general area of where you're trying to go into, because the thing with apprenticeship is that it kind of does pigeonhole you a little bit. Like if you know you want to do engineering, but you're not sure what specific engineering, if you go do an apprenticeship, it's pretty much tailored into a direct like line, whether it's civil, construction, mechanical, etc. And so after that, it's hard for you to kind of jump from there into another industry. Now, if you don't know what you're trying to do, but you know what kind of general area you're trying to go into, then university might be the better option, because it allows you time to basically discover yourself, think, and try and decide what you're trying to do. And plus, whatever degree you get in university, majority of them are very transferable in terms of their skills, that allows you to jump from one place to another. So obviously I did mechanical engineering, but from there I could have easily gone into finance, I could go into pretty much anything. So it doesn't, a lot of people who do engineering jump out of engineering and go somewhere else. I could go to pretty much almost any industry, any field. So it allowed me the time to be flexible. Now, another benefit of university, which is why I personally loved it more so, was because of one, if you didn't know what you want to do, it gave you time to think and allowed you to get a qualification that doesn't pigeonhole you and allows you to jump from side to side. Two, if you're going to go to university, is the experience. It's about the people you meet, the network you build, the mistakes and the joys that you make. It's going to be a a different kind of environment in which it brings you and a lot of other young people together in order for you guys to kind of learn from each other, kind of make mistakes, but kind of grow. And that's probably where you end up making a lot of your friends as well, and allows you, especially in terms of universities, it's normally most people's first opportunity to experience real independence by living by themselves. Now, if you're doing an apprenticeship, the likelihood is that if you're going to do an apprenticeship, you're just going to stay at home, because unless there's you find an apprenticeship somewhere else and the company is willing to help relocate you, you're going to relocate yourself and isolate yourself a little bit if you're going to leave, unless you have family there. So typically you don't get the full independence that comes with you actually straight up working, because you're living at home. And so you kind of just start, obviously if you're going to do apprenticeship, in terms of a financial sense, it's probably better in the short term. In terms of long term, it's debatable, but save up your money, do the correct thing, start contributing from home. But you won't get the opportunity to live outside from home and be in an environment with loads of different people that you probably would never have met before. Now, in which that you never have met before. So university gives you that opportunity to do that. And obviously university is an opportunity to explore your passions and your interests. Now, like obviously when I went to university, I did pretty much damn near everything. Like I did ballroom dancing. There was no ballet, so I didn't try that. And plus I don't think I was flexible for that. I did, jiu-jitsu, spoken word, choir, ACS, table tennis, football, basketball. Didn't do rugby. Those who go to uni know why I didn't do rugby. I did rugby pre-uni. I got involved in loads of things, and you get loads of experiences that is one of the reasons why I tell people to go to university, is for the experience. And so you seize up that opportunity. Now, coming to the point at hand, is the question is, whether is university a good go now, low key, because a lot of people are being robbed of that experience, especially for the fact that obviously, quote unquote, the illness is here, the pandemic, the panoramic is here. Now, is university still a good place to go? It depends. Those who started university in September are having mixed experiences. Obviously, if you stick with us, you actually understand. We're going to talk through some of the challenges that you have going to university, whether regardless of whether you're doing it from home or going to university, going into the school. But going to university now is, it depends on what degree you're going into. Now, the thing you have to understand is that why university might still be a good go, regardless of if partially it's going to be online or if majority is going to be online, is because the time is going to pass anyway. So unless you take a gap year and you're going to use that time productively, going to university may still be a good one to do now. Now, particularly if you're in year 12, going to university is probably going to be okay for you in terms of experience wise, in terms of you meeting new people, learning from each other, because ultimately I tell people, me and my course mates, we survived university by helping each other out, like by learning from each other. Like if I just went there and if I was just doing it from home, I'd probably be a different outcome. Out here is repping Heathrow, I don't know if that would be the case. But if you're in year 12 now or below, I think you should be okay in terms of seeing university still as a place to go, just because the way things are going, the likelihood is that by next year, September, when you guys would be starting, life would hopefully be almost back to normal. And universities right now have to try and make an allowance in terms of, especially we're deciding what we're trying to do with education, to give everybody a balance of university and the experience and the practical experience that's supposed to come with your course, to make sure that you guys are not being cheated out of the system. Now, why I say that it's kind of it depends on you, is because you have to understand of how you like to learn. Now, if you know you can't hack the purely online environment, then it may be a questionable thing whether you want to go there, specifically because of if you're going to a new city, you may not actually have the time or the space to make new friends, to create a new support bubble, to create a new support network to help each other out, to deal with the issues of loneliness, isolation, not understanding things, people to ask questions and grow with. But then again, depending on your goals, if you don't have time to waste, then it may be to go on determination, find a new way, start making friends via Zoom and Teams, and then push on to get through there. Now, if you're in year 13 and you're looking ahead to the summer, it may still actually be okay for you, because if the UK continues on its path now to, get all of us out by June 21st, then there's a likelihood that going to university in September, October is probably okay, because by that time, if we're really trying to get here to the point where we're not having any social distancing, no mask or stuff like that, then your experience will probably be better than the people who've been in the university the past year, 2 years. But in terms of an educational point of view, because obviously in terms you get the practicals, you get the in lecture, you can ask the lecturers in person, but obviously understand that even if we get out in summer, the beginning of towards the end of this year, it will still be a little bit of PTSD on terms of, we'll probably, some of us still be wearing masks, we won't get in too close, we'll hopefully still washing our hands, because yeah, but again, you have to understand that, you know, going to university in terms of your long-term building, in terms of your wealth, it's something you have that will allow you to jump into anything. I know people who jumped into like banking and finance with a fine arts degree. You probably wouldn't be able to do that via an apprenticeship. But then again, in terms of the acceleration in which you have a lot of people in my company within Heathrow, within senior management, and majority of them got in there via an apprenticeship, didn't go to university. I understand not going to university or doing an apprenticeship are both good, valuable options in terms of you pushing on your career. And understand also, if you're going to start university in, you know, September, again, just to let you know, your experience won't be as amazing as you may think. It will, hopefully will be, but it's just because typically most universities, it's the second years that are organized as the freshers and the first year and the experience for the first years. And just because of, it's been a little bit different this year, because the second years from previous weren't really able to show the first years the ropes and it's organized anything for them, so they're going to become second years because third years are worried about dissertation. So these second years may not actually host your situation the best way possible. But going to university, in my opinion, is really good, barring for the fact that you want to work and earn. The way you like to learn is different from the universities you have options to go to, as well as you know what you want to do. Now, if you specifically know what you want to do, then don't waste time. If you know you want to be a mechanic, then, or any of these kind of jobs, even finance, there's an apprenticeship for pretty much anything, then you can just go straight into it. And then that means, but you have to understand, now you're working as well as learning, so you are now, you know, a higher level of responsibility within that, but then you lose kind of the social aspect and experience aspect that you would have gotten from university. So what am I saying? I'm saying for both of them, it's a yes or no, depends on you. Understand that, you know, it kind of goes the same for apprenticeship, that the experience that you would have with apprenticeship, which typically was hands-on in person, is a bit skewed now, that you may not be able to get it, or depending on the industry you're working in which your industry is classified as a key industry, or you'd be classified as a key worker, maybe the reason where you'd be able to come inside, but you may not get the full experience as well with apprenticeship jumping in now. So I know some people are considering gap years and stuff like that. It may be something worth taking, but understand, with the pandemic coming around here, we actually don't know when it's going to fully end. So when we were ending of 2019, beginning of 2020, when it came, we thought it would be gone by the summer. And now we're in 2021, and so we're not sure when it's going to go. And even if we get it to a point where it reduces the number of people that is dying, we're not 100% sure that it's going to, you know, we're not sure that it's going to actually ever go. We might have to continue managing this. If you look at Europe, they're not handling it very well. There's other countries where it's flaring up and going down. So it could very much well still be something that's here till 2022. Now, in the meantime, is it worth going to university or starting an apprenticeship, depending on whether it's online or in person? It probably is better than for you to just keep, you know, waste a lot of time, which could go from 1 year to 2 years to 3 years, and then you kind of feel lost because the time keeps going. But then ultimately evaluate yourself, because your mental health is probably your biggest wealth. And if you know you can't put in the things in place, or aren't going to do the work in order for you to get there, because I know you don't want to, you have to rejig the way you see things. Now, if you're going to go through the online route, then you have to prepare yourself and get ready for the stress that's going to come, but make sure that you know, set up your environment, all those kind of things, to make sure that you succeed, and do everything at the best of your ability. So I understand it's a bit of a stressful one. If you look at our video that's coming out either tomorrow, later today or so, we're going to be talking about, you know, just how to choose your career and stuff like that, and things to consider, and then we'll talk about a little bit about, you know, all of that. And just, you know, because it's peak, I know 16, 17, 18, you're supposed to decide what you want to do with your life, but check out that video. We got some wisdom, hopefully, to drop for you. So This has been Tickzon. My name has been Ugo. Hopefully, we've given you a little bit of insight in this video, or as we say, so hopefully we've turned our hindsight into your foresight. So I wish you luck. I wish you patience, strength. I hope you make the best decision for yourself, and I hope you succeed and get to a place where you didn't even realize you could achieve. So hope you have a nice day. Hit the like button, subscribe, drop a comment if you have any questions you want to ask us, because we're here to help you. That's all that we're doing. That's the reason why it's like midnight and I'm here making the videos. So ultimately it's about you. The only part that's about us is a subscribe, a like, them ones, and share this with a friend if they need to. Take care, have a lovely day, and bye.